So Russell, great to have you here. Super excited. Today's topic that we're talking about is trends shaping tomorrow's marketing landscape. And obviously you and Kia are no stranger to that when talking about trend setting. You guys have a number of award-winning and forward-thinking campaigns. So maybe just hand over the mic to you to talk about your tenure thus far at Kia, maybe the evolution of the brand and your consumer and how that's shaped your marketing initiatives.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. And I'm hoping that I can keep your eyes forward this way as opposed to your left, but I'll do my best. So, last 5 years, Kia's gone through a brand transformation, and hopefully many of you have seen that, a portion of it. It started in 2018 with our Stinger 376 horsepower twin turbo car, so that was really cool. And then we had, you can see, over the years, Telluride. Hopefully all of you have seen Tellurides, one of our hottest vehicles. And then we got into, let's change our logo. That's always fun to do. Only spend almost $500 million across the world to change every single one of our stores. But that's okay, that's good. It's good to signify the change. Then we got into electric vehicles. Now, we'd been selling electric vehicles beforehand, but we really made the commitment, and first one, EV6, which is great. Good news, bad news is when you come out with an EV6, then you want to come out with a faster car, so we came out with an EV6 GT that's 576 horsepower, which kind of made the 376 horsepower one a little obsolete, so we got rid of that one. And now we have our EV9 that just went on sale. And all of this transformation has led to the brand growing, being both from a standpoint of our household income has gone from $75,000 in 2018 average to $125,000. College education is going up. Transaction prices are going up. And last year we had our best sales ever, and we're on track to do that again. So it's been a great journey. And part of that is what I hope today to just share a little bit of some of the ways we've done it and some of the ways we're going to continue to do it. So hopefully that's a little start for you.
That's great. And then, yeah. I know we go to the next slide. You're very involved in the community. You've done a lot of stuff around St. Jude's and other particular initiatives, but you want to...
Yeah, so this one is really near and dear to the heart. So we all lived through that beautiful thing called COVID, and during that time, it was actually a little easier to sell cars because factories went down and then they couldn't ramp back up quick enough, and then people wanted cars to go do road trips. So we had the ability to focus on what the brand stands for. And we created our Accelerate the Good program, and that was talking about how we give back in the local communities. So St. Jude was one, but if we go to the next one for a second, there's another thing, and this is relevant to what's out to your left, the ocean. And we partnered with a company, a CSR charity called, next one. Okay, well, this is a group that is dedicated to cleaning up the GPGP, a Great Pacific plastic patch out there that is, I think I get it right, Hawaii's over that way, so it's halfway between here and Hawaii. There is a plastic patch out there that is the size of 2 Texases out there. And you never see it when you're flying Hawaii because you're high in the clouds, but it's been growing. And the ocean cleanup crew have devised a method to take their boats out, put booms around, bring in the trash, and then bring it back to out of the ocean. And what Kia has done is we're partnering with them both from a financial standpoint, but we're also buying their trash. And when we say we're buying it, we're buying the PET bottles because we're recycling them for the seats in the EV6. We're buying the fishing lines that they catch because we're recycling them for the floor carpets in the EV9. So we are committed to be a combination of a financial donor as well as using some of their recycled materials into our vehicles, so they don't end up in landfills. And then this is a scene from just 2 weeks ago where both those boats came back from the patch, crossed under the Golden Gate Bridge to bring a contribution in the last 3 years that we've been partnered with them. They've taken over 1 million pounds of trash out of that patch. That represents 5%. So just talk about that. And we're committed to doing that. So hopefully when you all go into that water, you're not having to worry about the trash in there. So that's one thing there.
That's great.
And then I'll go to the
Yeah,
other one. And then St. Jude. So the other half of our Accelerate the Good is about giving back and trying to help the youth of tomorrow be able to realize their dreams. So a lot of the charities we had up there are all about helping the youth. No Kid Hungry, Covenant House for homeless, and St. Jude obviously trying to cure cancers so that they have a normal, healthy life. And we have a lot of news about our vehicles. We always want people to know what the latest cars are. But we take the opportunity, one of the photos here is us doing the announcement at the LA Auto Show. And at an auto show, you announce, well, here's the newest car, here's how fast it is, here's the technology. But we brought one of the patients that had gone into remission to the auto show, made the announcement that we donated over $1.8 million, and people could see the result of what that donation was. So youth of tomorrow, environment, helping those are our two main things that we do with Accelerate the Good.
Great. And speaking of events, we can pivot to that. I was at CES earlier this year. You had an amazing display there. It could be like a house in Malibu. That's how great this display is that you guys have been at CES. And then also, just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Monterey for the Concorde Elegance, and you were at Quail Lodge amongst the Rolls Royces and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. So can you talk about the evolution of your customer and then being at these different events to market your brand?
Perfect. So you don't have to answer this. I just want you to think internally. What do you think of Kia? When you think of Kia, what cars do you know of Kia? And when we ask that question, anytime we do sort of clinics or focus groups, they're all talking about cars that we made 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? So that's what most people's mentality is. So we are doing a combination of activation so people can see, oh my God, I didn't know. And we're doing live events, and we can talk about that. But the CES house, well, that was kind of funny. We built a 2-story house, CES. The purpose of the house was because the EV9 can actually power a house. So if somebody's in Florida, if somebody's in Texas, and a hurricane comes through and knocks out your power, it can power your refrigerator, your air conditioning for up to 2 to 3 days. And we actually have people on our social channels that demonstrated that when it came through Houston, when it came through Tampa. They're doing it, and you don't need a generator. You've got a car that just instantly turns the house and powers it. So we wanted to demonstrate that. So we built the house. It was kind of funny. Our global CEO came over to CES because we had a few other announcements there, and he walks in and he looks and he goes, "You guys built a house?" And it's like, we sell cars. I was like, yeah, but it's demonstrating that. And, okay, fine, that was good. So that was pretty good. And then Monterey. So I'm not sure how many of you have been to Monterey Car Week. It's usually in the middle of August for about a week. But there's 3 or 4 key days in Pebble Beach, all the concourse. There's quite a few things. And one of them is called the Quail on a Friday. And we went there a couple of years ago, and we wanted to show that we were committed to the electrified space. We had some people in our first year look at us and go, "Kia, there's Aston Martin, there's Maserati. What are you guys doing here?" And I pointed to the EV6, 576 horsepower, and I said, "See that car? See that Lamborghini, that Ferrari? It can beat both of them, 0 to 60. By the way, you can get 5 of these for one of those." So they're like, "Okay, we get that." And then we came with the EV9, and there's not that many real 3-row electric vehicles that are SUVs. there's a Rivian, that's great. There's a Mercedes, I question whether it's a real three-row. There's a Tesla, I definitely can question that it's not a real three-row. So there really wasn't choice. So we were there. The median household income for somebody going to the quail, $500,000. And this is a big foray for us because we're no longer, quote, America's best value selling $20,000 and $30,000 cars. The EV9 is a $50,000 to $80,000 car. So everybody that went to the quail could afford to buy one. And we had many people that became leads and turned into ultimate Kia owners. And there's people turning in Range Rovers, BMWs, Mercedes. So I think that's the idea and the power of actually seeing something in person. So if you go to the next one. And then the other one is, you heard a little bit of our Accelerate the Good. We like to help with the hopes of tomorrow and the future of tomorrow. And there's no better day and evening in the year than New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is all about what the next year is going to bring. Those hopes and dreams. So we did a couple times, and you can see behind me, where we've taken the numerals and we started them actually here in LA. And usually we start at the LA Auto Show in November. And we drive them across country and stop at places so people can see the numerals, take photos of them. It's amazing, in social posts what people write about it. They're literally writing about what their wishes are for the next year in there. We didn't tell them to do that. It's due. And then we show up in Times Square. They sit below the one Times Square building for a week, and then they get lifted up and put on there. And we're part of the countdown. So we'll be part again this year. But again, it's live events. It's talking about what we believe in and always trying to make things better.
Talk about New Year's Eve being a big day, another big day, the Super Bowl. I'm sure all of you guys can recall all their spots every year. You look forward to the Kia spot, and this year was no doubt, no exception. An incredible commercial, but we'll talk about your involvement with the Super Bowl and your commercials there.
Yeah, so, I always get the question is like, why are you spending all that money for one day? A lot of money. And by the way, whatever the publicized number is, it's always more because you're buying a lot of things around it. But it's not one day, right? At the end of the time period, it's usually the 3 weeks leading up to it, the conversation about who's going to be in it, what's going to be there. And then it's easily at least another week or so afterwards of what you just saw. So it's a good month investment. But our philosophy of being in the Super Bowl is you got to have a couple things in order to be there. Either you got to be launching a product. Okay, that's a good reason to spend millions of dollars. Or you have to tell somebody what you stand for or what you believe in. So the first one that we did on the bottom here, the RoboDog with the EV6, and the second one here, which was last year with the EV9, wasn't to sell EVs. Because both those are just lower volume vehicles and you don't spend that kind of money for the lower volume. But it was to basically show our commitment to the electrified space. For those of you that keep up in the auto business or reading some of the things, there was a lot of people 3 or 4 years ago that said, we're all in on EVs. Every single one of our lineups is going to be EVs. And things slow down a little bit. Our friends at Volta are going to help make sure that doesn't slow down much more, but part of it was infrastructure. And we need more of their products out there. It slowed down a little bit, and the Fords and the General Motors said, well, maybe we're not all on EVs. And we haven't wavered. We are committed. Our philosophy is choices. So the Super Bowl gives us the platform to show that we are committed. Hopefully you all watched it with the skater, and there's a good demonstration of that vehicle charging capability. And we always get some really great responses afterwards from a social perspective. The USA Ad Meter always puts us in the top 5 or 10, so that's good. People like it.
Good stuff. As we close it out, I'm sure we're good on time. Any final thoughts on what's next for Kia and what we can see from you guys from a marketing perspective?
And so I think the big thing to take away from us, and anybody that can help us achieve this would be great. So we believe in giving choices to customers. We're not going to force somebody, you must buy an EV, or you must buy a hybrid, or you must buy a gas engine. Buy what you want. Obviously our good friends in government are trying to push one way or another, and that's fine. But as long as we're providing choices, that's the message we want to get out. So, somebody just wants to go to a gas station, let them go. We got a lot of choices there. If somebody wants to go all EV, we've got multiple choices now from EV6, EV9, the Nero, and we got more coming. If you're not ready to go all that, buy a hybrid. It's got an electric engine. You never have to plug it in, and you get the best of both worlds with get. If you want to see what it's like to use a plug, buy a PHEV. I don't know everyone's commute range, but the average person's commute range is less than 50 miles. And most plug-in hybrids have anywhere from 30 to 50 mile range. So literally, you could never turn your gas engine on when you're commuting for 5 days a week if you're going back and forth. You can plug in at home and plug in back in the office, or if not, then you can go to a Volta station in between and do it. But the key is choices. So anytime we can demonstrate that, and anybody that's got ideas, we're open to it. We still have people that think all we do is sell a Kia Soul hamster vehicle, which is great, but we've got a lot more choices. So I think that's what you're going to see us. We're going to talk about that. No one has more electrified utility vehicles than us. We have over 10. Sportage, Sorento, hybrid, plug-in hybrids, EVs, etc. So those are the messages we're going to try to do. You're going to see, I'll give you one last thing. We love our partnership with the NBA. But how about that WNBA? I mean, you want to talk, we've been a partner with WNBA for 4 years now. We've been a partner with the NBA for 16 years. And we just didn't do it to be in style. We did it because the WNBA audience 4 years ago was definitely reaching a more female audience. And it's been great, and we did some great activations both this year in the All-Star Game and the year before. But it's no longer just a female audience. WNBA is here, and you look at the audience viewership, it's 4 times larger than it was last year. The WNBA draft was almost 2.3 million people watching it. The NBA draft was 2.1. So the WNBA is going to make it so that there's basketball year-round for those that want it, and we're really glad to be a partner for them.
So when you're spending $500 million to redo a logo, what's involved in doing that? Is there an in-house graphic designer who puts it up on the wall and you say, yeah, we'll go with that one?
That one is a little bit more of a committee element. And generally speaking, it starts with our head designer, Kareem Beek, who is based in Seoul. And they looked at a lot of different logos, because they are not just designing a logo. They're designing a logo that has to fit on the car with a curved hood or a curved trunk or a certain space. So it's very impressive for how they developed that. And they had a lot of logos, I guess I can say this, that they would have preferred but didn't fit in the car, because it was too round, too long, too curved, whatever. So they did that. Then we go through the executive committee that ultimately determines, yes, we like that, we can do that, and then we roll it out.
All right, I'm in the creative space, so my question is creative driven. I'm also an EV6 owner, turned in an Audi e-tron, way better car. One thing I would want to ask about you, when you started the redesign of the product, how did you get to redesigning the car? And like, who did you bring in to do that? Because when I say everywhere I plug in when we go to superchargers, people who own Audis, Mercedes, whatever, they're like, what the hell is that you're driving? What is that from? They don't even know it's a Kia. But the design was a big thing that I think catches people's eye. So I would love to hear how you went into that.
So the interesting thing is, we've got designers all over the world. So we've got designers obviously in Seoul, Korea. We've got designers actually next door to our headquarters in Irvine, California. We've got designers in Frankfurt, Germany. And the good thing I think about Kia globally is they are cognizant that you can't build one car and sell it everywhere. You can do that with some cars, but you can't do it with a lot of cars. So the designers that designed the EV9, they did it here in Irvine. And they're literally taking the same thing for the Kia Telluride 3-row SUV. 3-row SUVs and EV9 are both large vehicles. United States, us, we love large vehicles. If you're in Europe, you don't love large vehicles because the roads are small. So we have Europe design the smaller cars, and the EV6 was designed in Seoul because it's kind of in between, and it is a global car that's going everywhere. So they develop usually 2 or 3 clay models, narrow it down to 2. One more time, get that executive committee that's from CEO, global CEO, chairman, to pick, and then they go make that car happen. By the way, EV6 is coming to production here in the States. EV9 is being made now just outside of our Atlanta in West Point, Georgia. So we're trying to bring as many of the production of the vehicles here to the United States. We already have 65% of them in here.
Great, thanks guys.
Thank you all very much.